Welcome to part 2 of the Lazarus game. In this part we're going to make the boxes that are going to fall in an attempt to crush Lazarus. We need 4 different kinds of boxes. The cardboard box, the wooden box, the metal box, and the stone box. These boxes are going to fall from the top of the screen, and they're going to interact with each other in different ways. A cardboard box lands on top of all of them. A wooden box crushes cardboard, metal box crushes wood and cardboard, stone crushes the other 3. All of them crush Lazarus. In order to achieve this, we need 2 objects for each kind of box, one falling and one standing still. We'll name the falling ones falling, and we'll just name the still ones the name of the box type. In addition to all these objects we've already made, we're going to make one more object that is the falling box, and this is the parent for the falling boxes. I promised you we'd talk about the parent earlier. We're going to talk about it for real right now. I'm going to make this look like the stone box. Doesn't really matter. Just like to give it a look. What we can do with the parent object is we can define events that all of the children of the object will also have. So, for example, all of the falling objects, when they fall, are just going to fall down the screen. So if I add event create, I want to move down at a speed of 5. When I make this the parent object, all of the objects that are falling boxes will then fall down at a speed of 5, which is what we want to have happen. That way I don't need to write the same function every single time for each individual falling box. The other thing that happens with a falling box is it is going to be created above where Lazarus is. So what I want to do is I want to jump to a point, the first thing we do here, where the x is Laz.x, the x coordinate of Lazarus, whatever that happens to be. And the y is going to be negative 40, so it starts above the screen and then falls down into the scene. In order for this to work, all of my Lazarus objects need Laz as their parent. So if I go to my Laz object, you can see there's a thing down here that's called parent, and I've already given it one child, Laz standing. But I can grab my other ones and just drop here to add as child. So to make sure that every single Lazarus object is a child of this guy. And so now, no matter what's happening on the screen, if Laz is standing still, moving, the boxes, when it is spawned, will know where to find him. If you don't do that, you'll get all kinds of crashes. That's like, oh, I can't find Lazarus, because the particular Lazarus it's looking for might not exist in the moment that it's jumping, right? So in this case, there will always be a Lazarus on the screen. And this falling box is going to be a parent, see the parent button? We're going to give it children, the 4 boxes that we defined as falling. And if I look at now wood box falling, you'll see there's a secret create event. I didn't even do this. It just automatically made it because it came from the parent object. So we just need to define things in this and it will automatically get applied to all of the children. Makes our life easier. Every box is going to collide with the wall. So we're going to add an event, we're going to add a collision with the wall, and everything behaves the same when it hits the wall. If it hits a wall, it stops moving. But it doesn't just stop moving. It turns into the other box type. So wood box, stone box, metal box, card box. The type of box that does not have the falling at the end of it. And is not a child of the falling box parent. So we need to figure out what kind of box are we. And in the instances there's this if exists. We're just going to check for each one. If there's a cardboard box falling, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a cardboard box, not the falling kind. And we need to do some fancy math. Floor y divided by 40 times 40. And this is going to be in the boxes layer. What that means, floor y divided by 40 times 40. Y divided by 40. Remember how we set the grid in the room to a 40 by 40 grid? Well, what this is doing is it's saying, I'm going to take whatever my y coordinate is and divide it by 40 and figure out where should I actually be in the room. Because if you don't do this, the boxes will, because of the way they move, they'll just like end up in a funny spot sometimes. This is just fixing it so they end up realigning on the grid. I'm going to divide it by 40, I'm going to figure out where I'm supposed to be in the room, and I'm going to do the floor function, which means round that number down to the nearest whole number. Now I have some number, I'm going to take that number and I'm going to multiply it by 40. I'm going to bring it back up, but it's actually going to be a multiple of 40 this time, so it's going to be on grid. On the boxes layer, we need to add a boxes layer to our room, and then we're going to destroy the falling box, So now all we have left is the standing box. And we need to do this for each kind of box. Card box falling. Well, what about if it's the wood box falling? Well, then we need to make a wood box in that place. What if it's a metal box falling? Well, then we would need to put a metal box in that place. What if it was the stone box falling? Well, then we need to put a stone box in that place, right? So in our room 1, need to add a new layer here. Instance layer, boxes, and we're going to put it below the last layer, kind of in the middle here, so that they appear behind Lazarus. So like when Lazarus gets squished, the animation of him being squished is in front of the box, so you can actually see it happen. That's really all that's for. We're going to leave the room as is for now, for testing. You can even leave this as it is for your level 1. We're going to add the button here eventually to escape on. So if any of our boxes hit the floor, they're just going to immediately stop and turn into a regular box, which just sits there. But if a box collides with another box, we have those rules we just talked about what crushes what. So I'm going to duplicate this event, right-click, duplicate event, and I'm going to make it a collision with the stone box, because a collision with the stone box is the same. Doesn't matter what kind of box it is, if it lands on top of a stone box, it just turns into the box. Nothing crushes a stone box. It's just a stone box. So all of our code is exactly the same. We don't even have to change anything. It begins to change with a metal box. I'm going to duplicate this event again and call it a collision with the metal box. Now, if you remember from those animations not that long ago, everything creates itself, but a stone box will crush the metal box. So if we check here, if stone box falling, we're not creating a new stone box. We're going to delete that, hit this X, and we're going to change our destroy to the other one. We want to crush the metal box instead. The same logic is going to apply down the line. We're going to duplicate our metal box for a collision with the wood box. The stone box still crushes the wood box, but the metal box also crushes the wood box. Finally, a collision with the cardboard box. The wood box crushes that, as do these two. And finally, if the boxes collide with Lazarus standing, Lazarus should change into Lazarus crushed. So we're going to duplicate our stone box, and we're going to look for a collision with Laz standing. You could say collision with Laz if you wanted to crush Laz in any state, but I prefer it just in a standing state, because then you could like last second dodge kind of stuff. That's up to you. Collision with Laz standing. We don't need this. Any of this. What we need is to create an instance of Laz squished on the Laz layer where the other guy is. We need to delete the other guy. If we hit Laz, just gets crushed, squish him. So we have our basic boxes. Done. That's it. The one thing we don't have is they don't actually exist. Nothing creates them. So we're going to make one more object. And this one's going to be called the spawner. Spawn our boxes. Let's give this one the wood box sprite. Doesn't matter. Add event. Step. Step. We need to be checking all the time. And because falling box parent applies to all of them, we can just check to see if there is currently a falling box. And if there's not a falling box, we need to make a new one. So I'm going to look for random, and I'm going to hit the randomize thing, because I've noticed in the past that if you don't add this, then it's just always the same sequence of blocks, and that's not particularly difficult. You can start to predict. I mean, you could do that if you so choose, but I don't like that. And I'm going to get a random integer from 0 to 3. If that number is 0, something's going to happen. If that number is 1, something should happen. If that number is 2, something should happen. If that number is 3, something should happen. And what should happen is we should create a falling box of the correct type. So if it's 0, we're going to create a falling box on the box, a cardboard falling box on the boxes layer. If number is 1, we're going to make a wooden falling box on the boxes layer. Now you'll notice I'm not changing the X and the Y, because remember, when we create a falling box, it's just going to jump to the right location. It doesn't matter where I create it. If the number is 2, then we should make a metal falling box on the boxes layer. And finally, if the number is 3, we should create a stone falling box on the boxes layer. That's all this guy's to do. If it notices there's not currently a box falling, make a new one. We do need to add this to our scene. So in room 1, I left a little hole here for the spawner. And I'm going to go to the boxes layer, and I'm going to put my spawner there. So when I run my game, boxes fall, squishes Lazarus. If I move, it'll follow me where I am. If box lands on a box that's supposed to crush it, it'll crush it. Right? So here we go. Our game is beginning to come into shape. Oh no! You may have noticed that the spawner box was very obvious in that corner there, and it just looked like a wooden box was sitting there in the corner of the game. To fix that, there's 2 things you can do. The easy thing is to just make your spawner box look like the wall. Then it'll just blend in. You won't be able to tell the difference. What I often do to make the game a little bit more interesting is I change this slightly. Add event, create, and I'm going to copy those and put them in my create event. I'm going to get a random number, save it as the variable number, and then in here I'm going to look for the variable number every time instead of the word variable. At the end, paste those, get a new random number, and change what I look like based on what number I just got. So just like if num is 0, change my sprite so I look like a cardboard box. Copy, paste. If number is 1, look like a wooden box. If the number is 2, look like a metal box. If the number is 3, look like a stone box. And what that does, that little change, is now, when I play my game, the box that you're about to get is the box that you see in this corner. So it gives you a little preview of what's coming next. You can strategize a little bit more about what you're seeing, where maybe you should go to know if your box is going to get crushed or not based on what you see in this corner. Oh. So there we have it. Boxes fall. Try to crush Lazarus. We can predict what box is going to come next based on what's in the corner, giving us a little warning. Boxes land and crush each other if they're heavier than other boxes, or they just land on top of each other if they're not. Final thing to do is to add the button and to add additional levels, and we'll do that next time. While editing this, I figured out a way to make all of the boxes happen in a very small amount of objects. There's a challenge for you. If you want to go for it.